So I just heard an interview from Nas. He interviewed Snoop Dogg on his podcast called The Bridge. And Snoop Dogg, he made a few comments that I want to get your opinion on. One of the comments he made was about how he didn't like how Tupac was dissing Biggie. And how he didn't like how Tupac dissed Biggie at the beginning of the music video, Two of America's Most Wanted. And how he just rolled with it because Tupac was on death row. How you feel about him saying that?
That's not true at all. You know what I mean? You know, first of all, a lot of people, you know, they talk slick about Pac. They talk bad about Pac. And, you know, I can't say nothing. Everybody entitled to their own opinion. So they might say, well, why when this person said this about Pac? Well, most of these people never even met Pac. So let them say what they want to say. But for Snoop, the reason why it's hard for me not to say anything is because, you know, this was his friend. You know what I mean? So it's really hard to sit back and say, yeah, I really don't know why. You know what I mean? He saying these things about Pac. It's almost as if you listen to it, it's as if he have something against Pac. So it's very difficult. Pac is not here to defend himself. He didn't start, you know, Snoop Dogg, let's be clear. You got to understand, Biggie got on the radio and told people to shoot up his trailer. So, you know, this whole thing that, you know, me and Biggie have always been friends, you know, that cannot be true because Biggie said these dudes is here doing a video shoot, go handle it. They shot up his trailer. You understand? Snoop went back and started making diss songs against Biggie. So he cannot make it seem like Pac is the one who made him react in a negative way. Everybody was ignorant back then. We all was young kids, but Snoop played a part of it just the way Pac played a part of it. The difference is that Pac is like a Donald Trump. You know what I mean? He's going to tell you what's on his mouth. He's going to tell you what's in his heart. Snoop was just a little more diplomatic with it. You know what I mean? He did it in a way where, okay, if I can get past it, I get by. I have an excuse of why I done it. So that's what he's doing now. And he's playing his cards correctly. You know what I mean? Instead of just saying, look, yeah, I was with Pac. You guys shot up my trailer, so it's only right that I dish you back. But now we passed that. We all grown. We grandfathers. We parents now. Let's shake hands. But don't keep making it seem like that Pac was the one making you, you know, come after Bad Boy, because that's not true. Bad Boy shot up your trailer. You decided to go back and diss him. Pac had nothing to do with that. You know what I mean? You got to understand, Pac not here to defend himself when it comes to that. So that's why I mainly always clarify that, because it's hard to sit back, especially if you know him. That's supposed to be your friend. If you don't have nothing good to say, you know, don't say nothing bad at all, because he can't defend himself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is true. Speaking of Snoop Dogg, man, I mean, it is some unreleased diss tracks where he is dissing Biggie. I think it's a song called Keep It Real, Dog, where he made a comment about Biggie being fat and having a lazy eye. And if I'm not mistaken, I think when Tupac was performing at the House of Blues and he dissed Biggie on stage, I think Snoop Dogg was in the background, like, laughing and cheering it on.
Exactly. So you got to understand, look, Motown, man, or the atmosphere back then, it was a wild atmosphere. Snoop was a wild dude affiliated with Crips. He had some wild dudes around him. Pac was a wild dude. He had some wild dudes around him. Death Row was a wild environment. So they moved on violence. I'm gonna keep it real. We was young. We was ignorant. So it's not like nobody at that particular time had anyone to say y'all need to chill. You know what I mean? So if Snoop's saying what he's saying now, and if you believe that Pac was wrong as a friend, why didn't you tell Pac back then, like, look, man, I think we should chill? The reason why is because he was right along Pac, you know what I mean, doing what I would say ignorant stuff right now, you know what I mean? Because, you know, it led to people dying, you know what I mean? But back then, it wasn't ignorant. We was actually all on the ignorant stuff, you know what I mean? And it wasn't Pac the only one, you know what I mean? They went to New York, did a video kicking down buildings, you understand? So they know what's up. They know what's up. It's just sad, you know what I mean? I think people will respect Snoop more if he say, look here, I'm, 50-something years old now, and if he's 50 years old. When I was on death row, I was 20-something years old. We all know the mindset of a 20-year-old or a young teenager, you know, that the mindset, we're not the same. We mature, God willing. We supposed to mature. He can say, look, I'm mature now. I don't agree with what's happening. No, I don't. But back then, I was with Pac. You know, so I heard that when he said Pac took the lead, and that's why we did this and did that. That's not true at all. You was right there with Pac, you know what I mean?